Hello and welcome to TableWork. A few months ago, we sat down with Katie Loughmiller, director of The Day the Music Came Back, the first show in UWM's Spring Theater Festival.
And this podcast is actually going to be a two-part podcast. In this episode, we're talking to the director of The Day the Music Came Back. But next episode, we're talking to Alvaro, who is actually the playwright of The Day the Music Came Back. Yeah, Katie's awesome. She's the co-founder of a Latina arts collective called Luna. And she's also a founding member of Hurt Space, which is a women of color-led performance arts collective. And both of these are based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is director, UWM professor, and interdisciplinary social practice artist Katie Loughmiller talking about The Day the Music Came Back.
So The Day the Music Came Back is a new play written by another faculty member in the theater department, Alvaro Rios. So it's brand new, which is really exciting. It's the first play I am directing at UWM, so I was excited to do a new play. But essentially it takes place at least 100 years in the future, so definitely got this post-apocalyptic kind of vibe. And basically there are these teenagers or young folks gathering, and they're talking about something they're not allowed to talk about, which is music. So it's been really interesting thinking about this play given our current moment, both thinking how isolated we are and also thinking about just our current administration and like the lack of expression that I think some folks feel like they have. I mean, obviously we can still listen to music or jump on Zoom calls, but it's not the same. So in a way, this time has weirdly helped me think about this play, because I was just like, in what world where would music be illegal? And I'm like, oh gosh, well, I guess that's not as an insane thought as it is now, especially as we, the arts have definitely been hit hard with COVID-19.
On a more ideal version, like what would it look like when it comes to fruition, like the performance itself?
I'm a fan of very minimalist theater, so I am not someone who likes big, crazy productions, and I not that I don't like it. That's not true. For myself, I love when the actors can just act.
What is your rehearsal process usually like?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I haven't directed in a more traditional way in a quite some time, which was also why this was an excited opportunity. But yeah, and again with this new text, I feel like it would do the text a service if it was just me being like, this is what I think. So I like really brainstorming and really breaking the play down before we even jump into the blocking, and because I want everyone to know their backstory, and I want, the play isn't very long. I think it's probably an hour-ish, maybe probably a little longer. See them in this play is kind of contained, I think, within a day. So I think it's just I think we have the time to really, really uncover each character and make choices together as a whole cast to figure out what this play is really about and who these characters are. And one thing that I've been wondering as reading it, I'm just how do they know each other? Thinking about, okay, who was connected before they started these meetings, and how did they get connected? And in the play, it seems like music has sort of been illegal for quite some time. So thinking about what's driving them and what's driving their interests. So yeah, doing all that work as a collaborative team to make those decisions together versus me just saying, this is my thought.
Yeah. What's the, director and playwright dynamic, and how do you, navigate those waters?
Yeah, he's really great. He is totally willing to be sort of as hands-on or hands-off. He's actually more interested in being hands-off. But I think bringing him just to hear some of the conversations or add I mean, also just for him and his writing process, I think would be really great. You know, who knows if this will be the final version, or if, and I think he's even open, he said to me, he's even open to having some edits happen in real time. Like, you know, an actor really just takes on a character, and then all of a sudden, and I've been on the acting side, my version of this character would ever say that, they would say like this. So, you know, and I think Alvaro is pretty open to, you know, obviously not crazy edits, but like minor tweaks to that. So but I want him to be in the room and sort of like approve that, because I wouldn't want him to be like, to come at the end and be like, what play is this? Alvaro just was like, hey, random question, but do you direct at all? And I told him, I was like, straight up, I have not directed in many years. Like, I love directing. That was like one of my first loves in college, actually, as I was like navigating what I wanted to do as an undergrad. I was really involved in my theater department, and acting never felt quite right. I'm also a visual artist, so directing sort of made sense because it was like the blend. It felt like I was the visual artist of the production. He asked me, and we had this really amazing conversation. I really didn't know him very well, and he was super excited. And I actually think he had some feelers out, and I remember after our conversation, he was like, well, I have to kind of like honor my other feelers that I put out first, but man, I hope that doesn't work out because you seem great. So that was really nice, and we just really vibed. And also a big thing for me, and I do this with all my work in Milwaukee, both with Heard Space, is my like performance art collective, which is a woman of color art collective. But I also co-founded a Latina artist collective called Luna. So like diversity is super important to me. And that was another thing that me and Alvaro kind of sort of agreed and clicked on. And this play, Barry specifically, is like asking for a lot of diversity, and meaning so many, you know, not just based on race, but as diverse as we can cast it. That's like sort of the call. And I just also really loved that. I would love this to be a very diverse and unique cast.
Why don't you speak a little bit more about Luna and everything that you do with them?
Yeah, so Luna is about 3 years old. It's is that true? Wow. Okay. Yeah. So it's been a little bit quiet this year. Obviously, we had a lot of shows lined up that just got canceled. So we're doing a little bit more internal work. But yeah, it's a Latina artist collective called Latinas Unidas en las Artes. That's what Luna stands for. And I co-founded it with another fellow artist in Milwaukee called, her name is Gabriela Riveros. And so, yeah, we are about 35 visual artists, although some of us sort of like myself, I do all the arts that I can handle. And with actually, I guess this is sort of funny because I feel like music is the one thing that I am like least talented at. So I like that I get to pretend that I know anything about music for this show, or I get to like maybe learn more. The usual year we have multiple shows. We just were really frustrated with the lack of diversity that we were seeing in the Milwaukee gallery art scene. So we just decided to create our own space and make shows for ourselves. But yeah, there's lots of people who do multiple, have their hands on other things, are also musicians or also performers. Actually, Luna members also in Heard Space with me as well. So yeah.
What do you feel like was the best piece of advice, either from like a directing or acting standpoint that you got, or in general, I guess?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Also, I'm just impressed that you like did your homework and like know stuff about me. I feel like I don't know if I got this specifically from like any professor, or if I feel like this is just like what I kind of got along the way. Like I started my undergrad at GW in DC, George Washington University. I actually had a horrible time at the theater department there and like hated it. And so I left and luckily ended up at NYU at the Gallatin individualized study program. you know, and I remember I had this class with actually a pretty famous actor, Andre DeShields. He was my professor, and part of our class was like, he was like, I get all these extra tickets to things, so like we basically auction off his like tickets to cultural events in the city. So I think just see as much as you can, like absorb everything, read, listen to podcast. Now you can listen to podcasts and film and go to theater whenever it's open, and you know, dive into what you love, because I think being an artist in any medium is like a difficult journey. It's, you know, but it's like being just always opening your mind to new influences and reminding yourself that, like, as unique as we all think we are, someone's probably already had your idea, like, somewhat. So just continue to like figure out what artists are like you, and like what artists that you gravitate towards, so that you can keep referring back to that and be a smart artist rather than an ignorant one. You know, I think that, and I think I'm learning this more too as the older I get, that, you know, I think some of our programs are designed to make it like all of these art and theater and music and all of it is just like this competition. And I don't think it has to be. And I wish that we would kind of get away from that. Because of course, you know, you audition for a role and you're somebody's going to get it and somebody's going to not. Like, how is that not competition? But just like, I feel like we as artists need to be better at just supporting one another. And I that's why I like love the collective work that I do here, because it's really that support that we both can be successful. Yeah, we're not each visual artist is going to get the solo show every time, but eventually if we all help each other out, we can all be successful together, and it's a lot more fun to do it all together.
What do you hope the actors involved in the production will take away?
I hope that they, you know, I think that this play allows itself to actually potentially have younger, because we haven't had auditions, and I know that some other productions this fall have already been cast. So I'm hoping that we'll have like some incoming freshmen be a part of this play. These are all really good questions and started getting me really excited about the play. So I hope someone hearing this is excited about it too. I mean, we're in a very experimental time. So why, like, doing a new work in an experimental time, like, it's like I feel really excited about it. I think it would be harder to do a play that you've seen a million times and like it's supposed to be a certain way like that. I feel like that would be a little bit harder, but we've got a lot to experiment and work with here, and a lot to pull from. And I think it's going to be just a really exciting production, however it ends up being. And I hope this will not be the last time it's produced, even at UWM. I hope we can kind of revisit it potentially even with the same cast. I don't know. So I'm just really excited, and I'm also excited to just be more involved in the theater department. And I hope like any student who listens to this knows that I'm an adjunct, but I am like so invested in young artists trying to like figure out their trajectory.
All right, you guys, so that was Katie Loughmiller. Like we said, this was recorded over the summer, but a lot of what she said still holds true, even to the students that she worked with this semester.
A dramatic reading of The Day the Music Came Back will be streamed on demand April 7th through the 13th. For more information about UWM's Spring Theater Festival, please visit the link in our bio.
All right, you guys, that's it for this episode. We'll see you next episode when we talk to Alvaro, who once again wrote The Day the Music Came Back.
All right. Thank you all for watching. See you next time.